Hi there. So it is a chilly early April day here in central Ohio. Tonight looks to be getting down to around 30, so that is a temperature that would be considered a frost. But looking ahead, we have for the next 2 weeks on the weather forecast, looks like very little chance that it will, unless the forecast changes dramatically. We don't have anything anywhere close to that for our low temperatures, and it'll be a mix of on and off days where there will be some rain. So I think this is the time that I need to be getting out here and getting in my new garden. I don't have any of the fencing up yet, but I think that's okay. What I'm going to be doing is planting a bunch of carrot seeds today. I'm going to try a couple snow pea pod type pea plants. I've got two different varieties, and I'll show you where I'm going to put those. My intention, I think, is to try the idea of getting a deer panel. It's like a piece of wire fencing that you can turn into something kind of like an arched trellis. So I'll show you that in a second. But that would give the peas something to climb on, and also potentially on the other end of it, some winter squash plants that I'm going to grow. So basically what I'm going to be putting in the ground today are a bunch of carrot seeds and the pea seeds. Tomorrow, after we have the night of frost, I'm going to come back out here and get all of the rest of my little baby onion plants that I'm planting out here. I may also put out some broccoli baby plants and maybe some baby lettuce plants. We'll see. But definitely today, going to get the carrot seeds. Oh, I'm also going to tomorrow plant all my potatoes. So let me show you what we're going to be. First of all, I have come out the past couple of days and just used a good old-fashioned yard rake to even out the soil, because it just has not stopped seeming to be like rainy days. In fact, even today is still very overcast. But I've come out and kind of evened out as we've had lots of rain and the dirt has settled and kind of moved around a little bit, and just evened out the tops, made sure there weren't any big depressions in the soil. And so it actually feels pretty good. I'm going to take my rake over it. I just a few minutes ago came out with a pair of gloves on here and just was kind of seeing how easy it was to zhuzh around this way. It's a little crusty on the top, so I'm going to take my rake and just loosen that up a little bit, and then I'm going to get going on planting my carrots. So let me get everything loosened up a little bit. I'm going to put some tags where everything's going to go, and then I'll show you my process for planting the carrots. Hopefully I do better this year in the spring. I tried to grow some in the fall and it just didn't work. So I'll be back in a flash. I've got all of the beds loosened up. It really was just kind of a very thin layer on the top that had kind of stiffened up, kind of like a very thin layer of ice on top of a bucket of water. And so before I go any further, I wanted just to give you an idea of what I'm doing visually. This is a picture of what I've got laid out that should be getting ready to come out here in the garden around now, using a website called Seed Time. I'll try to put a link in the description. This is a great website. They have a free version, but the free version I don't think includes the ability to lay out. But it's like a planning calendar. A lot of great features. It allows you to put in, there's a lot of crops already loaded, and you say what you want to grow. You say whether you want to start it from seed or outside, or with transplants outside, and it shows you when to start the seeds, when to plant it, when approximately you should be able to harvest. So this has really helped me be able to kind of visualize and map out. And then I have a paid version, so I can also do an actual garden layout. So this is all to scale. the sizes of my beds, and I'm able to put in here so I can see about how much of each crop I can fit in various spaces. And you can play with the spacing. They have kind of the set spacing, but you can also adjust it if you want to plant a little tighter or a little farther apart. So what I'm going to do right now, I've gotten some cute little tags off of Amazon. I'm going to go around and put these everywhere that is all of these things that are marked, and then I'm going to plant my carrots seeds. So I'll be back once I get all that ready, and I'll show you how I'm doing my carrots. So these are the two kinds of peas that I'm going to plant. I decided to start with those, and I'm going to just put 3 plants each along this edge, because my idea is that I'm going to get one of these, I think they're called cattle panels from like I think Tractor Supply is where a lot of people talk about, and I'm going to attach it here and then have it come up and then arch over and then attach it over here. So it'll make like a arching, almost like of a tunnel effect here that I can walk under, but it'll give these pea plants something to trellis up, so they aren't really taking up space in the bed, because they'll vine up on the trellis with the cattle panel. And then over here in this bed is where I'm planting 3 or 4 kinds of winter squash, like butternut, acorn squash, things like that. And I want to look through my seed packets, and I'm going to be strategic, and I'm going to put a couple down towards this corner that can hopefully also vine up on this cattle panel to alleviate potential crowding in the bed, because the one winter squash, acorn squash plant that I grew last year, it took up a lot of space. So and I want to try 3 or 4 different varieties this year, so I thought this might be a way to help keep things from getting too crowded in this bed. I'm also going to put a few onions in here, because what I read was in a lot of places that you can tuck onions. They don't take a lot of space, and you can tuck them in between other plants. And especially because the onions should be being harvested around June, July. Hopefully the squash won't have gotten too huge by then, and it shouldn't cause an issue to be able to have the onions growing on here, pluck those out, and then leave the bed space at that point for the squash. So what I do when I plant things is add just a little bit of a starter fertilizer. I use a variety called Biotone from a company called Espoma. So I just sprinkled a little bit here. You can see there, it just kind of looks like a gray powder. And I'm just kind of mixing it in with the soil. And then the seed packets all say that these want to be planted about 1 inch deep. So I'm just going to basically poke my finger in there and make 3 holes on kind of either side of this bed for the 2 different varieties. And then I'm going to just plop a seed down in there and hope they grow. So that's how I'm going to do the peas. Both of these are like a snow pea type of variety. This one is from a company called Baker Creek. Their website is Rare Seeds. Really good, all very high quality seeds. This is from a company called High Mowing. I'm trying a few things from them this year. We'll see how I like it, but so far the things that I've gotten from them seem to be doing okay, the things that I started inside. And then I've got a whole bunch of carrots, so I'll show you those in a minute after I get these seeds for the peas planted. I have several different varieties of carrots. I'm going to show you my method for one of the varieties, and then I'm going to go ahead and just plant the rest of them, and then I'll tell you what all the different varieties are when I get done. So last year I did grow a few carrots that I started with the winter sowing method, and I did get to eat a couple of them, and I was so intrigued with that, and I enjoyed them so much better than carrots that I bought in the grocery store. I went a little crazy and I bought a whole bunch of different varieties. So one of those is this that I just was fascinated with. It's like a purple on the outside. It's got the typical orange kind of center. It's from Baker Creek. But the basic process for planting the carrots is going to be the same no matter what the variety. This particular packet says to plant them about 1/8 of an inch deep. Different people that I've seen online and different people who have YouTube channels like M.I. Gardener or Garden Answer or Epic Gardening, they have all talked about planting a little bit deeper. So I'm going to check my other packets, but essentially read your packet. And then I'm going to just make a little trench with my finger. Since this packet says 1/8 of an inch deep, that's not very deep at all. And I've already sprinkled a little of the Biotone on here. And then I'm going to take the packet, open it up, and I'm going to just, as carefully as I can, try to sprinkle the seeds. If I can, it would be awesome if they end up being about 1 inch apart, but I'm also not sure how the germination rates will work. So most of the videos I've watched have talked about having to thin, and I would rather thin than have spotty results. So I'll probably seed a little bit heavier, and then I'll just close it back up. So I don't think I can hold my phone and do that at the same time, but I'm going to open this up and I'm going to just sprinkle the seeds along this little trench here. And there's 300 seeds in the packets, so hopefully I'm not going to need the whole packet. I would definitely not think that. Anyways, I just hope I don't have to use the whole packet. So, let me get this going. I'll show you what it looks like before I cover it up. All right, I ended up just putting some in my hand. I wanted to show you the seeds are fairly small. Whoops. Here's a picture with my hand next to it so you can kind of see for scale. If I wanted to be really neurotic, I think I could have dropped these in here one at a time. But again, this being my first time growing a bunch, I want to make sure, I'm not sure about the germination rates. So I don't know if you can see, there's a few. Some of the areas, they were coming out of my hand a little faster, but I basically just sprinkled them all along this little trench. And now I'm going to just take the dirt and kind of gently cover them up. Try and make sure there's not too many great big globs of dirt. One of the reasons I also wanted to kind of loosen everything up was because these are a root vegetable, and so I wanted to make sure it's kind of as fluffy here as possible. So that's the process. I'm now going to do that with all of my other varieties, and I've kind of scattered these all over the garden in where I've planned to place them, because kind of like the onions, a lot of the reading I did said you can interplant these as like a companion. So I've got some here where some tomato plants will be going. There's some lettuce in between the tomatoes. I've also got some over here interplanted with a bunch of different onions. So actually, let me just show you the different varieties, and then I'm going to get them planted. So I got some more here from the High Mowing Company. I've got a Starburst carrot blend. So I thought that was interesting. There's some white ones, some purpley ones, some yellow, and some orange. That's a new one. Danvers is another variety I got from High Mowing. Lots of companies have this one. This is a really, this is one that was mentioned by a lot of different people who do gardening as a good carrot variety. I've got, this is the one that I did grow some of last year that I started with winter sowing, that I got as a free seed from Baker Creek. One of the things I like about that company is they send you out a free packet if you order at least, I think it's $10 worth. And I really liked these, so I bought another packet to make sure I have enough. This was one that was a free seed this year, so we're going to try some of those. And then Kyoto Red are some red ones that I wanted to try. This is Napoli. This is another carrot that a lot of people recommend as a kind of go-to. And then this is one of the ones that was a free seed I got last year that I also got a few of these from winter sowing, and I really, really liked this as well. So I definitely wanted to have some of these this year. So I bought a whole nother packet to make sure I could start a bunch. So I'm gonna go ahead and, get going on planting all of these seeds all over these various places. There's not really going to be anything to see once they're done, other than the cute little signs that I've put in the ground. So I think that's it for today. Tomorrow I'll be out here with the onions and the potatoes to plant, as well as maybe some lettuce, maybe some broccoli. We'll see. But thanks for joining me here today in Aunt Susan's garden.